Tonight, on the Underground Nation podcast, not every voice is meant to comfort. Some are meant to confront. Some are meant to remember. From the shadows of New York emerges a project that refuses to let silence win. Sermon of Flies, a faceless extreme metal force built on grief, memory, and the refusal to erase the dead. Where others move on, they remain. Where others forget, they preserve. This is death metal as language. Raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, a sonic embodiment of fire, decay, ash, and everything left behind. Tonight's conversation dives deep into loss, identity, rage, and the meaning of carrying memory through sound. Listener discretion is advised. This is not surface-level conversation. This is Underground Nation. Now, step inside the door. Your host, Feral Minx.
Hello. What's going on, everyone? This is Feral Minx, and you're tuned in to the Underground Nation podcast, where we dig into the voices that refuse to stay buried and the stories that refuse to be erased. Tonight's guest is not here for comfort, not here for spectacle, and definitely not here to sanitize pain. Sermon of Flies is an extreme metal project rooted in grief, memory, and defiance. Faceless by design, uncompromising by nature, and unapologetically heavy. This is death metal as emotional language. Fire, decay, ash, distorted faith, and the weight of what's been lost. This project exists to speak when silence is expected and to preserve what others would rather forget. From New York, representing extreme metal, death metal, please welcome Sermon of Flies to the Underground Nation podcast.
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, guys. How are y'all? How many are we having here?
Two of us. It's me, Sean, and David, our new bassist, who I picked up, by chance, which is a weird story.
We love weird stories.
Yeah, we actually lived, I don't know how long we lived next to each other for I think it was 2 or 3 months. And I always saw him walking, I would tell this dude was a metalhead. I could just freaking tell, And one day I just stopped and I was like, hey man, are you a metalhead? He's like, yeah. And he showed me he's got his nails painted black and shit. Got all these chains hanging off of him. And we just got to talking. And he's like, yeah, I play bass. I was like, you play bass? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and I showed him the music. He said, I guess he just liked it. And, well, I can I'll let him explain if you want, why he wanted to join and stuff.
Hello. Well, like you said, I'm David. He showed me his music, and right off the bat, I was like, dude, I freaking play. So if you need, I'll hang out and play some bass for you. And that's the start of the project. Yep.
That sounds great. So you lived next to him for months and just out of the blue, randomly.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Well, that's great, Things happen.
Yep.
So Sermon of Flies is described as a project, not just a band. Why was it important for you to frame it that way from the beginning?
All right. Well, what it is it started much to many people's demise, just they don't really like her. Me and my friend Angie started Sermon of Flies during COVID, just played music, like a lot of bands did, on Zoom with each other and stuff like that. And we just ended up recording a bunch of riffs, and we decided that because it was done as a project for me and her to deal with a friend that we lost by suicide. The music the lyrics were her way of dealing with that loss. So I said to her one day, I was like, wow, these would make awesome songs. I was like, how about we just write music and we'll just follow the your writings and your lyrics and stuff. She's like, yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. And one day it was just so powerful for her that she just stopped playing and just started crying. So I felt that it was working for her. And we decided to create this music project based all around our friend. Her name was Lana. And there was a lot of confusion. That's why I like doing these interviews. So Angie took Lana's name in the band because we use her as an artistic muse to give us inspiration and stuff like that. So she took her name to honor her in the band. But then it started causing confusion. I was like, well, so we put Lana into the artwork instead of Angie taking her name, and then it just took off from there. We don't let anybody close to this project. It is very, very close to us. And David's even lucky he's sitting next to me. I was honest with him when we were talking. But yeah, that's how it came how it came to be, and we just built the entire lore around that story.
So did that distinction change how you approached writing, recording, or releasing music?
Writing, definitely. Like, there's some newer stuff that's coming out. The older stuff was just that we wanted to pull people in. So the lyrics, those lyrics are just based on generalized, like depression and feeling down and, that kind of thing. The newer stuff, which you'll hear in a couple of months, that is directly from Lana's writings and Angie's writings. So there's, like, for example, there's 2 songs that are directly taken from Lana's writing that she had, like, those composition notebooks you had in high school, the black and white ones?
The black and white ones. Everybody has them.
Yeah. So she would write down her feelings in those, like her therapist told her to. But she had some drawings that are like emotional drawings, and along the side of those drawings, she would have poems written. And one day we were reading some of these, and we were like, wow, what if we took these poems and broke them up into verses and then split them up by choruses and made songs out of them? So you'll notice that a couple of the new songs are verses. They're going to sound very, very poetic. Mm-hmm. And then the chorus is just going to hit you with emotion. It's going to be like and the reason they're going to be, you'll notice when you hear them, they're going to be single word, like almost caveman choruses, but they're words that are just designed to like punch you in the gut, and then it goes back to like the poem and the verses. So yeah.
That sounds awesome. So you're incorporating, she's still helping writing your music, essentially. Her, even though they're already rich, she may not be here, but she's still writing with you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes, and that's how we want to do that. We wanted to honor her, and at the same time, we wanted to help people who are suffering from mental health issues or depression. And like the other night, I needed 988 myself. And I wasn't afraid the next morning to post it on our TikTok on one of our videos. It was like, one of us needed 988 last night because I was just that depressed. And I'm not afraid. I'm the type of person who's not afraid to ask for help. And I wanted people to know that I'm really not afraid to ask for help because I really needed that help. And it does help. It really does. And that's the main message.
We all need help from time to time.
Yes.
Yeah. Your work leans heavily into grief, memory, and refusal to erase the dead. Was this project born from a specific moment, or was it something that built over time? I know we kind of touched on that just a little bit.
Yeah, it was built over time. It was like, because Lana passed away in 2008, and like I said, the music started in 2020. But grief, I mean, especially grief, it's one of those. It's like procedural. It could take months to get over. Some people it could take years, and it took Angie years to get over it. And she still wasn't over it, like almost 17 years later. So that's why we decided to do this, and here we are.
So at what point did you realize this wasn't just catharsis, but something that needed to exist publicly?
That's a great question, because there was a couple of times where we decided, all right, this is just too emotionally taxing on us, and let's just end it. There were 2 or 3 times in the past couple of months, actually. And then we started getting DMs from people, not naming specific names, but there was one that really stands out to me, which I got like about a month ago. The gist of it was that he loves our music, and nobody listens to him, even in his personal life. And he said to me, now I'll get a little choked up, but he said to me, please don't stop making music, because at this point, that's what's keeping me alive. And when I heard that, I was like, how could I not? How could I not keep this project going? As emotionally taxing as on me, the way I view it, I was like, I'm helping people save their own life, I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could definitely feel that. I mean, everybody, like you said, everybody needs help from time to time, and some of us are not strong, to actually admit that we need that help, or strong enough to actually call out for help when it's needed. So that's definitely understandable, and it's a good thing. It's a good message. It really is. So you've called death metal a deliberate emotional language. What does death metal allow you to say that other genres couldn't?
Well, death metal is by design. It's designed to be aggressive and very, very truthful. And I think that's why so many people are in the underground are drawn to it, because it's very, very deliberate in what they're trying to say. And they don't sugarcoat it. Obviously, the lyrics are very, very brutal and in your face.
Right. Yeah. But they're very hard. There's no jazz tiptoeing around the tulips over here.
Nope. No, but there's a very specific reason why we chose death metal. Because like when I was talking to David, when we first started talking, he was like, he's telling me what styles he plays, and I was like, I started out as a punk and hardcore guitarist, and back in the late '80s, '90s. So what we did was we were looking at genres, and we were looking at like the self-harm rate per genre, and there was actually a study done on it in 2022, and I thought it was going to be like emo and punk with the highest rate of self-harm. It's actually death and black metal, and they have a self-harm rate 2 to 3 times higher than any other music genre. And the other very startling fact is, out of all occupations, music has the highest rate of suicide out of any of them, and it is a substantially high. Like, there's like a huge difference between number 1 and number 2. So I was like that. I found that a little. So that's why we wanted to use death metal.
Yeah, well, actually, those numbers are kind of shocking. I hadn't really looked into statistics on it like that. I mean, but yeah, when you break it down like that, I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense.
If you're an artist or in a band that could use some extra exposure, look no further than Underground Nation magazine. They have everything you need to get some extra eyes on your project. Get started on your custom marketing campaign, spanning web, social, and print today. Visit underground-nation.com. That's underground-nation.com for more info. Underground Nation, the #1 trusted source for underground music news.
If you think about it, though, emo genre, they are the emotional genre, and most of them are the newer kids, younger generations. We didn't really have emo back in the 90s. It was grunge, punk, alternative. That was about as close as we got to emo. So that's kind of a new thing. And with the movement and everything with the younger generations, they seem to be more in tune to dealing with that. So I can get that. But the death metalists, your hardcore, these are where all of the feelings and the emotions and the anger and the rage just kind of comes together. So definitely hard to navigate.
Yeah, and what I noticed about punk and emo is because I look for these things. What we did notice when we first started digging into this, like, emo has a subculture that is very, very self-aware of what's going on, and they're very tight-knit. And they take care of each other, which we loved seeing. We were like, okay, I don't think emo needs our help. But death metal really doesn't. Death and black metal doesn't have that. They have this persona where they just have to act tough and like you can't be emotional. And that's like that. That's that gate we were coming here to just like kick in and like, hello, we're in the house, bitches.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it though, like I was saying, the emo is usually, like basically it consists of a younger generations, millennials and further, the touch of the millennials. But you go back into the 90s and prior, like Gen X and everything, it's mostly metal, whether it was Kiss or, whomever, it was freaking all hardcore metal, and, you weren't allowed to cry. It was suck it up, buttercup.
Exactly.
You don't have feelings. You just deal with it. You don't talk about it. So coming from that era, yeah, most definitely, I could understand why metal in general, whether it be death or metalcore or however, I could see how that makes sense. It does. The statistics, the numbers they math.
Yeah. And that's why that whole tough guy attitude is one of the things we wanted to stress. You don't have to have that tough guy image. You don't have to sit there and just like suffer in silence. You don't have to do that. That's what we created the space for. They can. We always tell everybody. I tell people in our comment section, in like if we're in lives or anything, if you need to talk, our DMs are always open. This is a safe place for anybody to talk about anything. And one of the things I will not allow is bullying. Like, I will delete any bullying comments. I will block anybody that's trying to bully. I've done it already, and I'll keep doing it because I wanted to create a safe place for those people that are suffering, because I don't want them to go through the things that I've gone through. Right. And I want them to know that, look, like these bands, like all these bands, like there's a lot of bands, like when you listen to these lyrics are coming from a place of pain. So they're not just writing these lyrics for a song. So these artists are suffering just as much as their listeners are. So I want people to be able to connect to that.
Yeah, most people are in the consumer mindset, and in honesty, a lot of the media and everything of today just has kind of painted over and glossed over true emotions and feelings. It's kind of just, okay, yeah, we have them, but what do we do with them?
Right.
So I could definitely get that, and it's much appreciated. You guys are actually killing it on that one. So, do you think heaviness sometimes communicates truth more honestly than softness?
I do think it does. I actually think because people you listen to like that's like soft rock or something like that, and you can sense the emotion. But I think with like the heavier genre, that heaviness drives it home. It makes you feel those feelings you don't want to feel.
It gives you the primal feelings.
Yes. Like David said, it gives you those primal feelings.
Primal, absolutely. Does David have primal feelings about this?
He's stoked.
Yeah, I can definitely get it though. Like it's emotions, with the whole metal genre. In essence, it's not, like I said, it's not jazz. We're not tiptoeing around tulips here. It's hard. It's loud. It's felt. It's not something that you turn up your radio here to kind of hear what the lyrics are. No, you feel the lyrics.
Yeah.
You feel the music. You feel it. So I can definitely vibe with that one. I resonate very strongly with that one.
In a room that never learned how to listen. Walls held the words better than people, so I gave them everything. I learned early, silence keeps its promises. It never lies. It just stays safe. The dark to teach me how to rest. It didn't answer. It opened. We are still here, calling into the quiet, still holding what the night took. We are still here. Morning and daylight, like time forgot how to move. I folded myself into smaller shapes, so no one would trip over me. They said faith would carry me, but it only...
Yeah. As for and we did have new news for you guys, and that's why I wanted to wait for this interview to tell you guys. Once David gets he's gonna, we're not writing anything new right now. The writing is stopped, unless it's lyrics. So Angie's still writing lyrics. She's like, I don't care. I'm gonna write lyrics whether you guys like it or not. All right, just do whatever you want to do.
Just take it.
Yeah, but writing music is stopped. David's gonna be learning the material we have out. I'm talking to a friend of mine who's actually a DJ and a videographer. Mm-hmm. And we're pre-production into our first music video.
Wow, well, that is exciting news.
Yep, and all I have to do is pay him beer. So
that's even better. Pay him beer. Stay in the cage. Here's a 6-pack.
He literally said it to me. We went to the hospital to visit a friend, and I hadn't seen him in like 15 years. And he's like, "Dude, I didn't know you were making music." I was like, "I didn't know you were still a DJ." And we were touching base, and we were walking back to his car, and we were talking about making a video. And I was like, "Dude, I would love to make a music video, but I don't know any videographers who don't want $10,000 to $20,000 to make a video." He's like, "Dude, I do that right now." I was like, "You do?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll do it for you for a 6-pack of beer."
6-pack.
Yeah. And he was showing me all these music videos he made for rappers. I'm like, dude, that is like professional level stuff. He's like, "Dude, I made it on a Sony 4K camera." Because most of this is post-production effects anyway. I was like, right on. So right now,
all gibberish. He knows what he's doing.
So right now, what we're doing is we've picked the song that we want. It's very, very deep. Like the emotions is very deep. We're in the process. I was talking to somebody tonight. We're looking for an actress who actually looks like Lana because we want to portray her in the video. And the video is going to be like her journey through depression. And then a couple of the effects that we were talking about, my friend's name is Keenan, by the way. He's going to, he designs his own sets and stuff like that. He's going to design a room for the band to play in where it looks like the walls and ceiling are coming down on you to make it give you the impression of like the nice. And enclosure, isolation of depression. And then the rest of the video is going to be filmed outside, like Lana through her journey through depression. And it'll have your typical characters like you see in our artwork. The father flies the hooded figure, and Lana's the one with the long black hair. So at the beginning, it's going to look like just her normal self. And by the end, she's going to be unrecognizable because that's what depression does to people. So the production's going to take a while, but we look forward to it. That's when you guys
that sounds amazing. You know, you guys got music videos now to kind of somewhat give a face to everything. But speaking of faces, Sermon of Flies is faceless by design. No personalities, no front-facing identity. Why was anonymity important to this project?
So when like now this delves into the psychological aspect of Sermon of Flies. So when the human mind, especially when it comes to music, when they don't see a face or they don't hear a certain thing, the human mind will want to connect the person listening to that, so that like they don't see a face in the music, they're going to put their own face to it. So it pulls them into the music deeper. It actually makes them listen to it because it makes them feel like they're a part of it. That's why we do that.
So do you feel the message lands differently when listeners aren't focused on who is speaking?
I haven't found that out, and I really haven't had a chance to compare that. That's why we wanted to make the video. And we're actually, after the video, we're going to do a behind the scenes video where you're going to see exactly what we look like and exactly how unhinged some of us are. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of that when it comes to Angie, because this woman is absolutely unhinged.
Well, you know, who likes hinges? Just blow the doors wide open.
Well, you're talking about a woman here who we would sit around drinking, and when she would finish her beer, she would burp and then throw the beer can at somebody. Just randomly.
Remind me to have a bat ready, for defense practice.
Like she told me.
Maybe a tennis racket. My hand-eye coordination ain't that great.
She told me that we should film the video and pay in Jim Beam, but she would drink the Jim Beam. That's Angie. She's just off the hinge, foul mouth, just.
It's fine.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Rough around the edges, man. It's okay. You know what we call that around here? That is called culture. She is cultured. She's cultured. Maybe not.
And the crazy part is she works in a museum and has to be professional. Yep.
Well, okay.
She's a tour guide in a museum in New York City. She doesn't want me to tell you which one, but she's a tour guide in New York City.
Well, you know what? May that woman's coffee be stronger than her attitude every morning, and may she not peg people with beer cans throughout her tours.
But yeah, after the music video, we're going to release the behind the scenes, and that's when everybody's going to get to see what we look like.
That is great. That's awesome. Your visual identity leans into fire, decay, ash, urban isolation, and distorted religious symbolism. How intentional is that imagery when paired with the music?
It's very intentional. Every song, especially the new ones, and that's why we have the visual art pinned on our TikTok. This is the visual art side of Sermon of Flies. This is all intentional. Every song has its own image. Now, when you listen to the lyrics and look at the image, you're going to be able to be like, oh, that's what this means. That's what goes with this image. And so like especially like the urban isolation, that specifically goes back to Lana. She grew up in Brooklyn, and she just had a rough life, but she was actually pretty cool, pretty chill. Then she had a miscarriage, and that's when she went downhill. And nobody really knew. And nobody really saw it because everybody was doing their own thing, and nobody really saw what was going on until it was too late. And that's when we used the term urban isolation. That's what we're referring to. The fire is the anger. Rot is just like society and religious symbolism. That's very personal to us because apparently she had tried to go to like churches and stuff for help and was turned away by them. So we have a really strong disdain towards religious, like the large established religions, like the large ones. Like, yeah, we just don't like that because it's more about profit to them now because churches are turned into a business more than something helpful in the community. They put on a friendly face.
They used to misconstrue.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, that's what that symbolism's about.
Oh.
tax season is open, and so is the hunting season for identity thieves. While you're focused on filing returns, checking refunds, and getting your paperwork in order, criminals are working overtime trying to steal what doesn't belong to them: your identity, your information, and your peace of mind. Identity theft isn't just a hassle. It can cost you months of stress, frozen accounts, denied refunds, and thousands of dollars to clean up. And most people don't realize how exposed they are until it's already happened. That's why identity theft protection matters, especially this time of year. It's about early detection, monitoring, and having someone in your corner before a small problem becomes a major one. If you want to learn how to protect yourself and your family, reach out to us directly. Send an email to ugnpodcast@gmail.com with the subject line Identity Theft, and a representative from Underground Nation will get back to you, because protecting your identity isn't optional anymore, it's essential.
So is the visual world meant to guide interpretation or unsettle it?
Both.
Ooh.
It's how you interpret it. That's the art side of it. Everybody interprets art their own way, so that's why there's only one video with the image, and it's the only video on our TikTok that has an explanation of what the art means. That was just like a guide to let people know, oh, okay, this song goes with this art, and that's what this art is about. And then after that, there's nothing. We just let your mind take it.
All right, just let your mind take it.
Yep.
Religion and death have always been intertwined in extreme metal. For Sermon of Flies, is the symbolism about critique, confrontation, or reflection?
Confrontation and reflection, because we want to confront organized religion, the big ones, where we don't sugarcoat that shit at all. But we also want people to reflect back on like it's really hard to explain this part. We want people to reflect back on choices they make and things that have happened. You know, why am I depressed? Why am I feeling this way? You know, reflect back on yourself. And then be like, oh, well, I did this. Maybe this can do this. And this way, kind of reflect back on yourself to see how you can change yourself and fix yourself, if you, so to speak, I guess.
Right. No, that makes sense. Have you ever held back visually or lyrically, or is restraint not part of this project's language?
There have been restraints because we've wanted to use certain religious imagery, and we were highly advised against it. I won't tell you what that is, but I just...
And politics are two very controversial topics that people kind of tiptoe around. So I could understand the advice on that one.
Yeah, we don't like, that's just another thing about Sermon of Flies. We don't tiptoe around anything. If you look at our TikTok, we are very outspoken, and we don't give a shit who likes it.
No tiptoeing around the tulips, Timmy.
Nope, I stomp right through those sons of bitches.
Or mow them down,
Look at the flowers, Willie.
Look at the pretty flowers. So grief isn't an abstract concept here. It's lived. The passing of your singer is something listeners are aware of. How did that loss reshape Sermon of Flies, if at all?
Well, she wasn't our singer. She was our singer, our friend. That Angie's the one, the screamy scream, she calls it. It was our friend, her cousin, and that's what it's Lana's memory that Sermon of Flies is based on.
Right. So Lana wasn't. See, that there's a little controversy. Some listeners might get a little confused as to the actual backstory of where Lana.
Yeah, and that's why we separated. Yep, that's why we separated Lana and Angie, because, like you said, the people were getting confused. Like, I thought Lana was dead. How is she singing? No, Lana was. We used, like I said earlier. Angie used Lana's name as her way to honor her, like a pseudonym, like a metaphysical. And people were getting confused, so we had to separate them and give people Angie's real name. And because we didn't have like a stage name for, like, I'm the father of flies. Like, Angie doesn't have a stage name. We just called her Lana, but it was getting confusing. She's like, I was like, do you want another name? She's like, at this point, no, fuck it.
Yeah, ride with it. I'm committed. Commit, don't quit.
Yeah, it's like it's a way to honor her, and that's why we included her name in it. And it was, like I said, it was getting confusing, so we separated it.
Right. Was there ever a moment where continuing felt impossible, or did continuing become the point?
Like I said earlier, continuing did get hard a couple of months ago, and it did start to kind of feel impossible, especially when we got outed for what we used AI with, and we'll get into that in a minute. But once we got past that, and that's when I started getting like DMs from people about how the music helps them, I was like, it went from impossible to continue to impossible not to continue. Like, when I see how it's actually helping people.
Right. I can understand that. Definitely. Some people believe art should move on after loss. New chapter, new voice, new direction. Do you reject that idea entirely?
No, not at all. Art is art for a reason. It can go many different directions. It's up to the artist, what the artist wants to do with the art. So with like Sermon of Flies, we're going to, right now, like I said, we're at a pause. We don't know where it's going to go right now. I'm sure David has ideas. We've been talking, and I really like his ideas. So I think for right now, we're going to stay the way we're going. But I do see us branching out and exploring maybe even other. I don't want to say other genres because I don't want the sound to change too much. But I do have ideas where I want it to go in the future. But that's for the future. And we'll see but the art's it's definitely going to expand.
Absolutely. So instead of moving on, is Sermon of Flies more about standing still with what remains? It's kind of a follow-up.
No, well, right now we are standing still. But no,
I'm sitting still.
When it comes to the emotion and the subject matter of the music, we want it to help people move on. It's from that aspect. So, I mean, I guess you could say we're about moving on, because you have to move past. Once you deal with that grief, you move on. You deal with that depression, you move on. You deal with that anxiety, you move on. So, but right now we want to draw people in, have them really deal with the core issue, and then once they deal with it, they can move on too. And we've had people say, like, you've helped me, and I love that. I just love it. So. Yeah, I'd say we're about moving on.
So it kind of, from what I'm feeling here and gathering, is that mental health awareness is a big, heavy thing with you guys,
yes.
Like across the board.
Very big. And like I said, when people go to our TikTok, the main thing I want them to do, don't even listen to the music. Go straight to our profile page, right underneath our bio, which is a little unhinged, but that's the point. We want you to read it, because right underneath that bio is a self-help link for mental health. It's a website. The name of it is To Write Love on Our Arm. And when you go there, it's not designed, at least this is why I like using it, it's not designed like your typical, like it looks like a hospital website or something. It looks like
sterile.
It's very artistic looking. It's very
it's not sterile. It's not a hospital environment. It's not that sterile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why we wanted to use it. And I looked at the message on this website. I was like, this is going in our bio. And that's why I made it at the beginning. I made us a business page so I could put that link in there. And that's the first thing. I don't even care if anybody listens to the music. I don't care. If they need that help and they get that help, don't even come back and listen to us. Get that help. If you want to come back and listen to us,
very important message.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to touch on, we're not one of those bands. And I explained this to David. I'm like, don't think you're coming in here to make money, dude, because that's not what we're about. And David's like, no, this is cool as shit. So all of our music's free. If I had merch, that would be free. We don't charge money for anything. We actually lose money making this music, because I have to pay where we make it on BandLab. I have to pay the music creators premium fee to make the music. So I'm losing money, but I don't care. It's all about the message. Yes, exactly like David said. It's all about the message.
That is very powerful in itself, because in today's age, you see a lot of artists, individuals, entrepreneurs in general, who kind of get lost along the way with the monetizing and the money path.
After Lincoln Park committed suicide by hanging himself.
Yeah, it's like David saying.
David was a little muffled on that one. Can he repeat that one?
Yeah, it's like Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park. He committed suicide. Even Chris Cornell from Soundgarden committed suicide. It's like mental health is a very, very, very big thing in the music industry.
And that's why. Can you tell why I picked this guy to be your bassist?
I'm liking it now that I can hear him and he's not muffled.
Yeah.
Stand up, David. Come to the light.
Looking for bold, high-quality merch that hits harder than your next show? At Smoke and Barrel Apparel, we fire up the best in screen printing and promotional gear, crafted for bands, artists, and creators who refuse to blend in. From shirts to banners, from tour drops to custom promo runs, we've got your back with the best prices around. Learn more today at Smokin. That's SMOKINBA.com. Official sponsor of the Underground Nation podcast, supporting the heartbeat of the underground, one print at a time. Contact Ryan Chavez for more information. Smoke in Barrel Apparel, where your brand meets the barrel.
Yeah, no, I get that. You guys actually are, that's very, very big, and I really feel like a lot of listeners are kind of missing the mental health awareness message. Are kind of getting lost in a lot of other discrepancies and just chaos
Yeah.
and unhingedness.
Yep. And that's what me and Angie talked about when we were writing the new material, because we started out in so it goes back to like our guitar tuning, and we were like really fast, really heavy, and people were missing the message. So with the newer stuff, it is a completely different death metal genre. We went from like just death metal, brutal death metal, if you want to call it that. A lot of people like to argue with me, but I don't like putting labels on our music. I don't care what it sounds like, whatever you want it to be. If it's death metal, fine. I don't care. Brutal death metal, fine. Slam, fine. I don't care what you call it. I don't like labels. But the newer stuff, it is very deep, very dark, and very slow. We've gone from death metal to doom and funeral doom. And we've gone from drop F sharp to some songs are drop F and some songs are drop E. Like I can barely hear my guitar until we get into the, I have to go in there and process the guitar. And I don't know how to do this in the DAW. I've never had to deal with tuning this low.
We need help with the DAW assistance.
I was like, what the hell do I do with this?
DAWs are a whole nother, oh my goodness, that's a whole nother can of worms for another topic, another day.
Well, that's why I like BandLab, because a 5-year-old could use that.
I've had a lot of artists that have used BandLab. Me personally, we do FL Studios, and I mess with Audacity as far as free ones and like stupid, simple, user-friendly. Audacity has been great for me.
Yeah, but that's why. But like going back on that point, that's why we want it, because the people were beginning to miss the message. So the newer stuff, like I said, it's based on Lana's story, Lana's own writings, and put to music. So there's absolutely no denying this message now. And I'm actually worried slightly that it is so dark that people, I don't know, I don't want them to think it's like it's intentionally depressing, but it's dark. It's dark.
Music does that to people, though. That's kind of the whole point of music. It is emotional, and it does trigger feelings and responses and reactions. Do you ever worry that preserving memory through art risks being misunderstood as exploitation by people who weren't there?
Yes, and that's exactly what I was just trying to hint. I couldn't think of the word, but that's what it is. I don't want people to think I'm exploiting like their grief or death or exploiting Lana's name, and that's what we're trying to be careful not to do. We don't want to exploit it, and we work closely with her family about it. Like we had permission to use her image once with her last name once, which is what we did. We made a memorial for her, and it's on our TikTok. Outside of that, we're not allowed to use her name in the music, and we have any artwork we create. It can have her likeness, but it can't look like her, you know what I mean?
Right.
It can't have her exact identical. Yeah. So that's what we're very careful not to do. So that's why we use that one close-up image out of our artwork. It's Lana's likeness, but not exactly like her. So.
Right. What would you say to listeners who feel seen, not disturbed by that? Honestly.
Seen but not disturbed?
Yes. So who feel seen, not disturbed by that honesty.
Oh,
so
seen.
the listeners who feel seen by it.
I don't really know.
Not the ones who are upset.
Not the ones that are upset?
Not the ones that are upset.
I would just tell them just like, if just listen to it. Just listen to it. And please just understand the story. And understand we're not trying to exploit anything. We're trying to get somebody's story across, and we're just trying to use that story to help other people. Because that's just the bottom line of Sermon of Flies.
Right. Yeah. Bottom line, that is a good message. That is a very hard story to have to tell, and it is very controversial on certain topics and in certain areas with certain audiences. But you know what? Every story deserves to be heard and told.
Yeah.
So, you list rage as preservation as a core theme. Rage is often painted as destructive, but for you, it sounds protective. How do you define that?
All right, so the way that we define that is like we define rage as like the anger you feel towards like something that's happened to you. Like it could be anything, and you use that when I say you use that rage as protection, we use that as the rage as armor against the outside world. So you're more vigilant when you're angry and rageful, and you're less likely to hurt yourself. You're more likely to protect yourself when you're angry than you are when you're sad.
Right.
So that's what we mean by that.
So is rage for you a refusal to forget?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's just a way, it's easier for the mind. The mind can deal with anger easier, and it can retain memories better than it is like when you lose something. Because when you lose something, when you're sad, you just tend to lose. Then people talk about when they're grieving somebody. A lot of people will talk about when they think of them, they could picture their body, but they can't picture their face. And I feel when you're angry and you're rageful, it's easier to preserve that. To me, anyway.
No, I can get that. David, what's your thoughts on rage?
Passion.
Passion.
The angrier you are, the more passionate you are.
I can vibe on that one.
When you get to a certain point of rage, it's because you're passionate about something.
You see why I like this guy?
We are liking David. So yes, well, that strong emotions period. I mean, because I have seen some people use their sadness and their grief as a tool for passion to kind of turn it around. Me personally, I'm on the saying I turn my sad into mad, and mad makes actions happen.
Yep,
exactly.
So I can get that. So
rage fuels change.
Rage fuels change. Absolutely. Silence and absence are recurring ideas. In your experience, is silence more violent than noise?
Yes, it can be. It can be very self-destructive.
Very, very detrimental.
Yeah, because that's one of our core messages. You just don't stay silent, because when you're silent, you tend to just you let yourself go. Yeah, exactly. You just let yourself go, and you just fall into that. And the longer you're silent, the deeper you go, and eventually, hopefully,
your silence becomes doom.
Yeah, and eventually it probably would, but we don't want that, and that's one of the core messages. Silence is deadly. That's the simple truth. Silence is deadly.
So is Sermon of Flies meant to fill that silence or tear it open?
Tear it open. Absolutely tear it open. Tear it open, just let it pour out. That's what the music's designed to do.
Let the songs hit your heartstrings and open up the doorway for your soul to awaken.
See? There you go.
Nice. Open up the doorways to let your soul awaken. That's wonderfully, very elegantly put. So do you guys ever feel torn from that? Like, is there any kind of conflict of when it's best to kind of step back in the silence, or is it just all full force and just throw the door open?
Well, see, David's still, for David personally, I don't know, but for music-wise, because David's just joined not too long ago, but like from Sermon of Fly standpoint, we don't really, we've wanted to step back from it, but at the same time, that's what our music's about. We want to rip down any barrier we come across, like literally any, whether it's silence and depression or anger or, like we said, rage. Just rip it all open and let it all out, because that's how you help yourself. Once you get it out there, you can deal with it.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. We're not easing it off here. Just yank it.
And in that case, in our case, you're putting duct tape on that Band-Aid and taking some skin with it.
No, not the skin. Let's leave the epidermis alone, sir.
Some artists wait to be discovered. Others step into the shadows and take their shot. Welcome to Mic Check Thursday, hosted by the host with the ghost, Bounceball Boogie. Every week, the boogeyman opens the gates, searching for the realest voices in the underground. No industry politics, no fake hype, just raw talent and honest feedback. Think you've got a hot track? For just 99 coins, submit your song and get one guaranteed play live. Get reviewed by Bounceball Boogie and the full panel of creatures from the Boogieverse. And if your sound hits different, you might earn something most artists never get: a personal invitation to a spotlight interview on the official Underground Nation podcast. This isn't a contest. This is a gateway to exposure, to community, to your next level. Join us live for Mic Check Thursday. Bring your track, bring your courage, and step into the Boogieverse. The Underground is watching. Are you ready to be heard?
When writing or recording, do you approach Sermon of Flies emotionally first or structurally first?
It's emotional first. Absolutely, because the music is based around the lyrics. So we'll write something, and it's usually Angie that writes it, especially with the newer stuff, with her poetry. Like I stated earlier, we just read a poem, and we were like, let's break this up into 4 verses, or however long the poem was. We just broke it up into that many verses, and we were like, what can we put in between these for choruses? And we look at it, and we want to read it. We want to read it first as a poem, and then we want to sing it to ourselves, like scream it to ourselves. And it's at that point where we feel the emotion, and then that emotion is what drives the music.
Right. No, you got to have fuel. Do you ever stop a track because it feels too honest?
Yes, there's a couple, like I was talking to David about this earlier. If you see our project menu in BandLab, there's a lot of songs that we just stopped making. Like, I was like, I just don't want this. We're just going to scrap this. We don't want it. This is just it's too dark. Or we would just completely rewrite the lyrics and keep the music. But there was a couple of songs that it was just too dark. Like, I was like, I don't think it's a good idea to even make this.
Are there any thoughts or plans on maybe coming back to them and reworking them and possibly releasing them?
That would be something me and David could talk about. Like, we'd go in there and look. But as of right now, no. I just wanted to leave them alone.
Fair enough. Leave
There's
it.
some really bad shit in there.
Do you think this project could exist without pain, or is pain the fuel that keeps it alive?
No, that's absolutely the fuel. If the pain and grief wasn't there, Sermon of Flies wouldn't be.
All right. What happens to Sermon of Flies if the grief ever quiets?
That's another question. So it's originally started as like a 3-part project with like the music, the art, and then art and music combination. So we're at stage 3. But the way that it's been going, I don't see it stopping. And that's another reason Angie wanted to step away. Angie was like, if this ever gets to a point where it gets too big, I'm just stepping back. And I don't like leaving people hanging like that. And it's a good thing I met David, because he's like, yeah, I'd like to play bass. But Angie's like, well, if you're going to keep doing this, I'll keep, like I said, she says she's going to keep writing lyrics. But yeah, like, I just don't see it. I don't see it stopping. I don't want to see it stop, but it all depends on where things go from here. Especially after the music video and how that lands and how the behind the scenes lands. By that time, we'll actually have a drummer, hopefully. And then we'll just see where we go from there. We're just taking it. It's like baby steps, day by day. We're just seeing where it goes and see what happens.
Exist on the sky, and taste like ash. Shadows creep through my bones. Nothing moves, nothing lives. Tremble in silence. Time breaks through my veins. Walls close, feelings full. I am heavy, I am gone. Breathe. Wait. Hollow lost without light. Thoughts coil like chains. Mind drifts through decay. I reach, I grasp, I fail. Every step sinks deeper. Breathe. Still. And slow. Hollow breath, nowhere to go. Skin.
Right. Now, if I remember correctly, you did have a drummer at one point, correct?
Yes, at the very, very beginning, it was like like I explained to David when he joined, we have a very strict set of rules if you want to join. And number one is you can't try to guide the project. It has to stay about what it's about. It's about Lana. It's about her story, and that's it. The drummer wanted to come in, and he wanted to bring in a bunch of new ideas and stuff like that, and then there was somebody else who wanted to join, who wanted to rewrite lyrics, and Angie was like, what the fuck is the matter with these people? Like, we tell you this isn't going to happen, and you get here and you think you're going to do this, and Angie was just like, no, you two, you can go fuck yourself. She's like,
Kindly go fuck yourself.
Yeah, well, she doesn't tell you kindly.
Well, we're going to say it kindly for our listeners' ears and hearts. Kindly go fuck yourself.
Well, when she hears this interview, I'm pretty sure her TikTok's going to light up.
Don't throw any beer cans my direction, ma'am, please.
No, she's been in your lives a couple of times.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
what's love?
Especially she's been in Bounce's lives a lot too. So she sends
Awesome.
Bounce a lot of ridiculous shit in DMs. But
so the drummer, you guys, you had one, and now you are in between drummers, correct?
Yeah. So we filled the drum ins now. This is what we got in trouble for. We didn't have a drummer, and Angie was like, "Screw it, I'm not waiting for a drummer because it'll take too long." She was like, "I'm going to use fucking AI, and I don't care what anybody says." I was like, "All right, we're going to get in trouble for it." And sure enough, we got in trouble for it. But yeah, right now, until we find a drummer, the drums are all AI.
The drums are the only AI.
Yeah, and the voices, since we can't really sing, we use a vocoder for our vocals,
right?
And we use different vocal settings in that vocoder to get the aesthetic that we want for the music.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, essentially, from what I'm gathering, obviously the lyrics, all of the words are written and they come from somebody that's emotion. That is actual genuine human work put into it.
Yeah, there's also some stuff in that notebook where I don't even want to. Angie wants to write songs using it. I told her not to, and it's all up to her because, like I said, she's not really part of the music anymore, but she's still part of Sermon of Flies. It was like creation 50-50.
Right. Well, that's a heavy loss. That's a heavy grief, a heavy hit to take for listeners. For listeners dealing with, I'm sorry.
Yeah, all those lyrics. Yeah, they're 100% written by us, and that's some deep, dark shit.
Absolutely. 100% authentic lyrics and writings. For listeners dealing with grief, loss, or anger they don't know how to carry, what advice would you give them from where you stand now?
Being as a person who's been through it, and David and I have also talked about this, talk about it. I know it's hard. It is very hard to talk to people about it. Just talk to anybody you think you can trust. If you don't think you can trust anybody, pick up the phone and dial 988. I've done that so many times. You don't have, and people think it's a natural. They said most people get it confused like it's a suicide line. No, it's not a suicide line. It is a helpline. It's there to help you. I sat here the other night when I had an anxiety attack, and it was so bad when the anxiety attack stopped, and it stopped so abruptly. It triggered my depression like instantly. And I told the security guard working where we stay, I was like, I need to call 988. So they sat me at the desk. They called 988 for me, talked to them for a minute. I sat here in this room for 3.5 hours talking to 988, and it helped me so much. All they did was sit there and listen to me and give me advice, and then I sat there and cried. I'm a 50-year-old male. I am not afraid to tell you I cried. There's a thing, like there's this stigma in society that men don't cry. To men out there thinking, that they honestly, exactly, men need to cry, and they hold. The people the men out there that are listening, if you think it's not manly to cry, no, it is more manly for a man to show emotion than to not show emotion. People respect that more, and I found that through my own experience. So don't be afraid to cry, because crying is a release of emotions. And then definitely talk to people you trust, talk to family members, talk to anyone you love, because there's people there that love you, especially like if you're married. Your wife definitely loves you. She wouldn't be there if she didn't. Your kids will always love you if you have kids. If you don't have any of that, like I said, pick up 988. There's somebody that cares. These people genuinely care. I apologize to the lady on the phone. She goes like, do not apologize to me. This is my job. I chose to do this because I like to help people. And that's
for listeners who don't know what 988 is, could you give a brief?
Yeah, it's in the U.S. anyway. It's the National Suicide and Crisis Helpline, and they help with anything you're dealing with, suicidal thoughts, just depression, anxiety, anything you need help with, anything. And they also have, it depends on where you live, but I don't know if it's all 50 states, but they do have mobile crisis teams that will come and sit and physically talk to you if that's what you need. Obviously, there's going to be a police officer with them. I got to put that out. But yeah,
they're not coming to toss you in the bandwagon, all right?
Yeah, but they're just coming to talk to you. I've had police talk to me too when I've gotten really depressed. And they're not there to arrest you or throw you in the nut house. They're there to talk to you.
To help.
Yes, they're there. Everybody, all these people are there to help. So my main message to them is always reach out. Always ask for help. It's not weakness to ask for help. That is probably the strongest thing anybody feeling that way can do. And there's an acronym for SAD that I like to use. Stay another day. It's okay to be sad. Just stay another day.
That's a very good acronym. I think I might steal that and use that some.
It's not copyrighted that I know, so go ahead and use it.
Well, you guys seem to be a very strong hold with the mental health awareness in the community, and that is so grateful. If you haven't been told lately, if you guys haven't heard it, thank you. Thank you.
Correct.
And huge respect to Sermon of Flies for stepping into this space and sharing something real, heavy, and uncompromising. If you felt this conversation, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Sermon of Flies on all social and streaming platforms. Support the artists who refuse to let memory disappear. And don't forget to visit undergroundnation.com to see everything that's moving beneath the surface. Our new issue of Underground Nation magazine is out now, so take the time to subscribe and get your copy, because it's cool to hear the underground, but it's something else to hold it in your hands. It's Feral Minx, and you've been listening to the Underground Nation podcast. Stay loud, stay honest, and don't let the silence win.
That was Sermon of Flies right here on the Underground Nation podcast. And if you felt that conversation, don't just sit on it, trun it up. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Sermon of Flies on all social and streaming platforms. Tap in, stay connected, and support artists who are pushing real meaning through their music. And if you're serious about discovering what's next, don't forget to visit underground-nation.com. Go download the app today, create your profile, upload your music, or just tap in as a listener and start discovering the next wave of up-and-coming bands and musicians before the rest of the world catches on. This is the #1 place to find everything rising from the underground. Your host, Feral Minx, and this has been the Underground Nation podcast. Stay loud, stay real, and we'll catch you in the next one.